Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only P-Dog Knight.
Hey, 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 hey. Hey, hey, hey. Excuse me. Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as P-Dog Knight on the internet. And welcome back to the P-Dog Knight channel, where we are going to talk about things that perhaps the new presidential candidate from the Democratic Party, who still has not gotten a single vote from the masses, we need to burden her by what has been, and certainly things have been popping up all over the place that should be burdening her. But it's funny because it seems like she doesn't want to claim all those things. Like there's some outlets that are just figuring out that the Harris in that, that Biden-Harris administration. Well, there's some media outlets that are just figuring out that she is the Harris in the Biden-Harris administration. They seem like shocked and like, wait a minute, is that the same Harris? Because she's not seem to be embracing everything that is happening in the Biden-Harris administration. In fact, she's not even embracing some of the things that she has promoted and said in the past. So that's a whole new thing that we're just like, wow, are you that Harris? Because you don't sound like that Harris that was in that administration. So, and it's very important because, my thing, we must burden her by what has been so that we don't have to find out what can be, because holy cripolas, we do not need that. Anyway, so shall we get the show started? By the way, I do have my cup of reparations coffee. Today it's brought to you by Budapest, Hungary. Now, Budapest is one of those things that people don't necessarily understand. Budapest is actually two cities, Buda and Pest. It's kind of like the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Budapest. And that's something I learned when we got to go over there. Oh my God, that thing is not working. This drives me nuts every damn day. Let me fix that because... Thank you, that's not even Gunfox. That's AD. Hang on a second here. Let me fix that nonsense. I don't know why it won't stick, but let's fix it now. Now we do that, and it should work correctly. And now let's replay it, because right now... There we go. Good morning. Thank you, Avocado Dabbly. And you are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day, who tipped a small bullet in the tip jar via Streamlabs. And it says, caught a bit of that Caitlin Clark show on CNN last night, and holy F, they are really pushing the Kamala capped insulin at $35 thing hard, like we're supposed to think VPs write executive orders, not to mention the fact that he had undone Trump's. Yeah. Oh, Caitlin Collins. I thought you said, I said Caitlin Clark, didn't I? The Caitlin Collins thing. Yeah, I didn't see that, but I saw kind of a clip of it. And it's like, they keep touting that as if it wasn't already, before Biden returned it and then did the same damn thing Trump did. Like they actually did something. And so I haven't seen it. If you have a clip, put in the links. I'll put a link in the chat or something. We can certainly look at that. Thank you very much again for sponsoring the show. You are a great American. Speaking of which, let's say hi to everybody. First in the chat is, it's Avocado Diablo who gets the bell again. Thank you very much. You are a great American. Also, good morning, Kara Soldier, Mike Savage, Blarg, Aaron Meredith, Renee Mayette. Let's effing go. Kara, I said Kara Soldier. Who else is here? Darren Root, good morning. Unacceptable views. Start the show already. Look, there's a reason I have a 10-minute countdown. See, that 10-minute countdown gives me enough time to open a bunch of stuff in the background because I work before I come do this show. And so I got to come home. I got to set up the show. Then I got to start the show, but I want to start it with a 10-minute. Plus, it gives people time to get here. If I just start the show like immediately after I open up the YouTube channel, most of you don't even get notifications for 10 to 15 minutes. That's just a quirk of YouTube. It's, unlike Rumble, which I'm going to start streaming on again soon as I get some glitches fixed. But it gives me time to let people get into the chat. It also gives me time to I finish up opening some of the articles that I had set aside and so forth. And so whatever I'm trying to say. So on and so forth. I'm Bidening again. I am Bidening. You know what happens when when I start Bidening. So speaking of which, now thanks for reminding me though, or at least making me remember. I also have another thread that I'm not going to go through today, but it's a really good thread about the fact that the media is not all that interested in reminding Kamala Harris what has been. They're too busy talking about the joyfulness of her campaign. So I'm not going to go through it, but I'll put in the links today, and maybe we touch on it a little bit at the end of the show. But so anyway, let's get this show started. Also, who else is here? Unacceptable views. Attack Alpaca's in the house, and John Arnott, good morning. Let's see. Special K on Acid and Shrapnel. So it's good to see you all here. As people pop in the show, I will be saying hello. It looks like it says 18 people. That's not bad. That's not a bad start. Usually by the end, the first half hour, we got 30 in here. So she did a bit on Trump's speech, how it was undecipherable, and just showed a clip of saying, Kamala, you're fired. It was just effing weird. Oh, well, I haven't seen it. Yeah, I guess I have to look at that. Boomer's explaining. No, I'm not. Just it is. Just. Yeah. Anyway, let's get this show started. Things happening today. Today this is a very special day. It's a very special day in the world. It is National Relaxation Day. National Relaxation. In fact, here I'm gonna start this video right here. I'm not gonna play it out loud, but here we go. Relaxation break. Let's take a moment to relax and take a deep breath together. Now reflect before you start this activity. Think, how are you feeling right now? Oh, this is going too fast. Sit comfortably in with your back straight. Box breathing. Okay, here we go. And now it's going too slow. Start tracing an imaginary box with one hand. Next step, let's add the breathing exercise. As your hand goes up, inhale through your nose, and as your hand goes to the right, hold your breath. And as your hand goes down, exhale through your mouth. And as your hand goes to the left, hold your breath. Trace your imaginary box again. Each time you start tracing a new box, try taking a little longer in each. This sounds like a masturbation technique. I don't know what the hell's going on here. This is weird. I'm not playing this. Anyway, it's National Relaxation Day. All right, let's see. And people are showing pictures of flowers and oceans and all that kinds of shit. So you can check out that thread. Also, happening today, retail sales and jobless reports or jobless claims came in today. Now, again, I don't trust any of the jobs numbers by this administration whatsoever. They always make it look rosier, and then they do the revision a month later, and it's worse. But anyway, jobless claims, initial jobless claims come in at 227,000, below an expected 236,000. or 227,000, below expected 236,000, and below 234,000, showing resilience in the economy. Retail sales actually grew 1% month to month. Market sharply up this morning. And, okay, wait a minute. Why is this rock thing in the way? The rock's in the way here. Okay, I don't know what that says. According to the report, 2/3 of the increase in retail sales was due to autos. Meanwhile, dealers are slashing prices, see the consumer price index report, because nobody is buying cars. Because you can't. So interesting. Why are people surprised that retail sales are growing? The U.S. has never had more people working at payroll jobs and working at higher wages. False. Interest rates have peaked and inflation is under control. What? This guy's delusional. What the hell are you talking about? So anyway, you can spin those numbers however you want, and certainly the media, especially the Mockingbird mainstream media, will certainly spin it in a way that's positive. I hate to break it to them that the inflation has not come down. Whoa, what was that? All right, that scared the shit out of me. By the way, welcome Zed the Snarky and Cryptic, who just dropped a 6 spot in the tip jar via Streamlabs. Thank you, Cryptic. You are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day. And what does it say? Cryptic says, "Stop! Don't touch me there. This is my no square." Yeah, I'm wondering, didn't that sound like? I'm just saying. And especially for women, because it kept talking about box. So anyway, thank you, Cryptic, for sponsoring the show. I probably shouldn't have said that. That's not cool. Anyway, let's see. There's the right link. Looks like they finally fixed Johnny finally fixed that link issue. He must have made some phone calls. So if you want to sponsor the show via Streamlabs, that's the best place to do it, because you're not giving your money to YouTube. You're giving it to me. And Johnny Boomer Tech just pinned the link to the Streamlabs Superstar sponsor Super Chat link in the chat there. All right. So anyway, yeah, retail sales and employment numbers. And here it is. Let's see. Retail sales rise 1% month to month. Just one month to month. Versus 0.4%, something, I guess, year to year. Core retail sales were plus 0.4% versus 0.1% anticipated. Walmart beats with 67 cents in EPS and $169.3 billion in revenue. Initial jobs claimed for 227,000 versus 236 expected. And so there you go. You can decipher that however you want. All right, next, we're also talking about inflation, and that's trending today because a lot of people are talking about these job numbers and all this other stuff. Let's see. Byron Donalds, one of my favorite Congress people, has a little blurb here on Fox Business. Let's see what he had to say. As soon as I get the screen correct, there we go. Let's see what he had to say.
Well, first of all, I would tell the Trump campaign, there's your 30-second ad right there. Elon Musk is explaining why somebody who voted for Barack Obama is now voting for Donald Trump this fall. Okay, but when they talk about Kamala Harris, she supported the massive Medicare for All package that Bernie Sanders supported. When she debated for the presidency, she agreed with Bernie Sanders that she wanted Medicare for All. It would cost $44 trillion. She supported the massive Green New Deal. It would cost $100 trillion. She wants to raise taxes on business owners, whether they're large corporate guys like Elon Musk or small business owners trying to find ways to make ends meet. That's only going to hurt our economy overall. And then you have the other issues of she won't secure the border. She agrees with what Joe Biden has done because she is the border czar and she was there every step of the way. Her policies are a disaster, which is why she's avoiding the press, which is why she's avoiding scrutiny. And the only time policy even comes out of the Harris campaign is when some low-level staffer puts out a memo. That's ridiculous. That is hiding from the American people. That is not the bold leadership that America needs at this critical time.
Okay,
So first of all, I would tell the Trump campaign.
Sounds like Byron Donalds would like to burden her with what has been. Now, speaking of which, J.D. Vance was at I think it's a trucking company in Michigan, and people are making fun of him because he didn't have a giant crowd at the thing. And I don't even know if this was an open rally or if this was just a speech he was making at this particular company. But he also torched Ms. Harris on what has been.
Sir.
By the way, this is the reporter decided to ask a question because this is the other thing they're doing. J.D. Vance goes to give speeches, whatever. And at the end of the speech, he took questions from the press. And I don't know if this is a tweak at the Harris, what's his name? Walls, my governor, the Harris Walls campaign or not, because they're not taking questions. They're not, they rarely ask questions. What is this? Kamala has released a policy. She wants to impose price caps on private industry. Oh, I know. We're getting to that. We need to burden her with that too. But here's J.D. Vance. I guess he's tortured a reporter here.
With the New York Times, I wanted to ask you about the latest economic news from this morning with inflation now being under 3%, the lowest rate since mid-2021. What is your sort of reaction to that news?
Inflation.
Well, I think the crowd reaction says it all. Look, when they say that inflation is down, they mean from a baseline where groceries are already 30% more expensive than they were when Donald Trump was president.
Okay, it was 20, but they'll fact check that. I bet.
Saying it's coming down. They're just
or maybe they won't because they don't want you to know.
As it was 3 years ago. That is not a reputation or a record to brag on. That's a record to be ashamed of.
Ding.
Why did it take them so long to get inflation to where it is, and why are prices so high? It's because Kamala Harris failed to do her job. So if they want to go around, and
they're going to try to blame
Kamala
industry.
Harris, on the one hand,
we'll get there.
will say, on day one, we're going to tackle the affordability crisis. And like I said earlier, Kamala Harris has been the vice president for 3.5 years. And I think, ladies and gentlemen, she's in effect been the acting president because we all know Joe Biden isn't home. So she's been the one controlling government policy for 3.5 years. She says she wants to tackle the affordability crisis on day one. And then on the other hand, she'll say, oh, we've already got inflation under control. Well, which is it, Kamala? Which is it? The simple truth is America's credit card debt is getting higher. Americans are finding the basic necessities of middle class life less affordable.
Only because
Americans are.
I just wanted to talk about inflation because that's what the topic here is. Also, by the way, who was the person that cast the tie-breaking vote that brought us 40-year high inflation, the highest prices in 40 years, for which so many people suffer today? That person was Kamala Harris. This is Senator John Barrasso.
Prices are 20% higher than they were when Joe Biden and Kamala Harris came into office. People are forced to cut back, forced to decide whether they can fill their gas tanks or their grocery carts. According to CNN, nearly 40% of all Americans say they worry that they can't pay their bills. So how did we get here? Well, Democrats passed trillions of dollars in reckless and radical and runaway spending. It was so unpopular as a proposal, and Congress heard from the American people how unpopular it was. It was so unpopular that at a point it was tied, the vote, and then they had to bring in someone to break the tie. Who was that person who cast that tie-breaking vote that brought us
burden her with what has been. Burden her with what has been. Burden her with what has been.
So many people suffer today.
Tell him, John. You tell him.
That person was Vice President Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
That's right. Vice President Harris, who is now the nominee of the Democrat Party running for president.
Now. So anyway, that's why inflation is trending. And also price is trending because Kamala Harris has an interesting proposal. An interesting proposal. Well, first of all, we got a reminder, too, that she was in favor of a complete takeover of healthcare and calling it Medicare for All, which would be a really tough thing to do. But that's billions of dollars. But Kamala Harris has proposed food grocery price gouging ban. Now, this is fascinating. So apparently she believes that the federal government should, well, here it is. Here's the grok summary. Vice President Kamala Harris plans to propose a federal ban on corporate price gouging in the food and grocery industries. This initiative aims to prevent corporations from unfairly raising prices on consumers. Now, I know margins on food are not very big. I'm trying to figure out exactly who determines whether or not, quote, corporations unfairly raising prices on consumers. Will they determine that? Now, the announcement has sparked a range of reactions online, with some users questioning the timing and effectiveness of the plan, which I'm just curious, because couldn't she have suggested this to her boss, the president? I'm still on, right? And then, let's see. While others support the effort to address rising grocery prices, the proposal comes amid ongoing discussions about inflation and the role of the government in regulating prices. So, here it is, breaking news. Kamala Harris will propose the first ever federal ban on corporate price gouging in the food and grocery industry. Now, price controls on, have they ever worked? Have you ever heard of price controls work? Here's Joey Manorino, he's a dickhead, but he's on the right. Kamala set to propose a federal ban on price gouging this week. Let's call it what it really is. Government setting prices for corporations. Let's call that what it really is. It's a foray into communism. How come Trump was able to keep prices? Okay, well, it's a different story. Now, and then Peter Schiff, in her first economic speech, Vice President Harris is expected to call for an unconstitutional federal ban on price gouging, quote unquote, because really she just wants to control. She wants to put price controls on food. And what usually happens when you have price controls? Usually when you have price controls, you end up limiting supply. And so it's really a nasty idea. Increased regulations and rising costs will result in stores closings and higher prices. So the effect of her proposal will be the opposite of its intent. And I'm trying to find someone who I know one person who loves this idea. And that is Harry Sisson. Now, I don't know if it's his video's in here anywhere. But what an amazing thing that she's going to jump right into communism, basically. Because, oh my God, let's see. But what's interesting about this too is as we as we start getting into this conversation, Politico, the online political magazine, seems to have just discovered that Harris is part of the Biden administration with this article. Trump moves to tie Harris to Biden on the economy. They are a team. Now, that's a fascinating headline in itself. Trump moves to tie Harris to Biden on the economy. Well, I could have sworn that there's someone named Harris who's the vice president, right? Is that, Johnny, is that right? Yes? Okay. And I'm pretty sure that the Biden-Harris administration, because Joe Biden's certainly still saying that, I believe that Harris person is the same Harris that's running for president, isn't it? But the way that this looks, Biden or Trump moves to tie Harris to Biden on the economy. They are a team. Does that sound unusual? Donald Trump on Wednesday delivered a pre-buttal of sorts to Kamala Harris' anticipated economic policy rollout later this week, yoking the vice president to the Biden administration's record on inflation while issuing his own vague promises for a second term. Wow, that's a fascinating way to put it. Yoking the vice president to the Biden administration, because she is the Harris in Biden-Harris, right? She really needs to explain the president's suffering she has caused along with Joe Biden, the former president told a crowd in North Carolina. By the way, they are a team. Yes, very good. Very good, President Trump. Yes, they are a team because it's Biden-Harris. It was, and again, I think this is a very good strategy to burden her with what has been, okay? Because she is part of what has been. She is the Harris in Biden-Harris. It was a link Trump returned to repeatedly throughout his hour-plus speech, an effort to blunt Harris's polling and fundraising momentum by tethering her to Biden, because it's Biden-Harris, and it comes as the former president has struggled to regain his footing in the race since Harris took Biden's place. Except it's interesting because they're still tied. Speaking in the same state in which Harris is due to unveil her economic policy on Friday, Trump jabbed at the vice president for adopting one of his signature calls to end taxes on tips. He suggested a broader economic proposal will probably be a copy of my plan. He claimed without evidence. They love to put it without evidence when it's Trump. How many claims do the Harris Walls team make without evidence? I bet they make several. Like, for example, they claim that Project 25 is Trump's his platform without evidence. The only evidence they have is that he knows he has some of them, but certainly how do they say that well, even the what is it, the cutting, what they keep saying they're going to cut Social Security and Medicare without evidence, because they do have some chopped up clips of things he said in the past, but they always edit out the complete sentence he makes to make it sound like he's going to cut things. But anyway, speaking of the same state, okay, I said this already. He suggested a broader economic proposal will probably be a copy of my plan. He claimed without evidence that the stock market is up because people think that I'm going to win. Okay, we don't know. We don't know why the stock. In fact, the stock market's not up. well, it's up, it's down, whatever. And said last week's dip was because people were not thinking that. And he warned again, without evidence, that a Harris victory in November would sink the country into another Great Depression. Well, I'm sure that those 50 economic advisors that said Trump's plan would be a disaster because who knows why, didn't really give any evidence of it, but and so they're probably touting them. Anyway, if Harris wins this election, Trump said the result will be a Kamala economic crash, a 1929 style depression. Okay, so he's blustering. If he wins, Trump said it will be a boom. Yet Trump undercut his own message at times, immediately walking back what he called an ambitious new goal of slashing energy and electric prices by half, at least within 12 to 18 months. If it doesn't work out, you'll say, oh, well, I voted for him. I still got them down a lot, Trump said. Trump also reiterated his call to eliminate taxes seniors pay on Social Security benefits. I don't even understand why seniors pay taxes on Social Security benefits. It's like you paid, okay, so when you worked all your life and you paid in Social Security tax, you got taxed for the Social Security, and then when okay, I know they don't really give it back to you, but when they give it back to you, they tax you on it again? Really? Why did that ever make sense in the first place? Whose idea was that? It had to be a Democrat. Anyway, he pledged to keep the Affordable Care Act he once pushed to kill unless we can do something better. He said he would instruct his cabinet secretaries to bring prices down, and he blamed Biden and Harris for inflation. Okay. Trump's rhetoric runs counter to the reality that the economy has been in a sustained upswing through much of the Biden presidency. Yeah, but we've lost ground in our homes because inflation has been going up much faster than wages. So what does that even mean? The economy has been in a sustained upswing through much of the Biden presidency. Well, you mean because after the pandemic, when everyone was told to stay home and half the people couldn't go to their work and basically the country shut down, it's been in a sustained upswing since then? Whoop-de-fucking-do. Holy shit. Even as prices rose and voter sentiment remained glum. At least Now, wait, I'm going to read the whole sentence again. Trump's rhetoric runs counter to the reality that the economy has been in a sustained upswing throughout much of Biden's presidency, even as prices rose and voter sentiment remained glum. Well, then apparently the fact that the voter sentiment remained glum tells you how they feel about the upswing of the economy. Economists broadly credit the passage of trillions of dollars in COVID aid with pulling the nation out of a pandemic-induced recession faster than anticipated. Jobs and wages have grown steadily since then, not as fast as inflation, though. Key achievements overshadowed by Americans' fixation on spiking inflation 2 years ago. Oh my gosh. Well, yes, and prices are still up 20%, but wages aren't. Those prices increases have since moderated, even as voters say affordability remains a top priority, with new data on Wednesday showing inflation continuing to trend downward toward the 2% figure the Federal Reserve has long targeted. Well, it's 2.9%. So it barely broke 3 and whatever. And it has come without major job losses, a trade-off that economists once saw as a certainty, but which is no longer seen as a likelihood. So anyway, it's kind of funny though that he has to tie Harris to the Biden economy. I don't know why he has to tie it. It's Biden Harris. Okay. All right. Let me move on here. Let's see. Oh, and Doris Trump is trending now. I think this is because, I think Bobby Kennedy, Robert Kennedy Jr., whatever, has been was trying to get a position or negotiate with Harris about getting on some cabinet position. And I have no idea what that means, but there's a lot of people saying you should endorse Trump. Some people are saying, fuck Donald Trump, whatever. But here it is. Robert Kennedy Jr. Posted this. Vice President Harris's Democratic Party wouldn't be unrecognizable to my father and my uncle, and I cannot reconcile it with my values. The Democratic Party of RFK and JFK was the party of civil liberties and free speech. Vice President Harris is the party of censorship, lockdowns, and medical coercion. Kennedy Democrats were anti-war. Kamala is riddled with neocon warmongers. The RFK JFK Dems were allies of Main Street, cops, firefighters, and working people. Vice President Harris is the party of big tech, big pharma, and Wall Street. My dad and uncle's party was the champion of voting rights and fair elections. Vice President VP Harris is the party of lawfare, disenfranchisement, and the coronation of its candidates by corporate donors and party elites. Ouch. He said, I've used our nation's courts to prosecute corporations who hurt black Americans. Vice President used our nation's courts to mercilessly prosecute black Americans and exploit them for their labor. My father and uncle prided themselves on their skills at debate and their ability to articulate a coherent vision for our country. Vice President Harris is scared to debate and can't survive an unscripted interview. Instead of outlining a vision, she relies on middle school tactics, memes, forged headlines, infantile slogans, joy, and name-calling. Republicans are weird. I spent years battling government corruption and lies. Vice President Harris spent years gaslighting Americans about the health of our commander-in-chief. Oh, snap! I have no plans to endorse Kamala Harris for president. I do have a plan to defeat her. So, the response from the MAGA crowd, I guess you could call them, is, well, why don't you endorse Trump? Well, no, he's still running. But that's a verbal beatdown right there, although not verbal. What's the word for it? A written beatdown of Kamala Harris. And the thing about the headlines, apparently she's been altering headlines to put in her, on Google headlines. They've been altering them to use as campaign stuff, and I don't know the details of it, but I think I have one article on it. So, all right, next. If you didn't know this already, this is a terrible thing. Report hackers may have stolen the Social Security numbers of every single American and dumped nearly 3 billion records into the internet. Great. You know how you have to put your Social Security number on everything these days for security. Well, yeah, breaking hackers may have stolen the social security numbers of every American from the national public data. Around 2.9 billion records per the LA Times. Now, why would it be 2.9 billion records? Because this means every social security number that maybe has ever been issued. I don't know. From the LA Times, about 4 months after the notorious hacking group claimed to have stolen an extraordinary amount of sensitive personal information from a major data broker, a member of the group has reportedly released most of it for free on an online marketplace for stolen personal data. The breach, which includes social security numbers and other sensitive data, could power a raft of identity theft, fraud, and other crimes, said Teresa Murray, consumer watchdog director of the U.S. Public Information Research Group. If this in fact is pretty much the whole dossier on all of us, it certainly is much more concerning than prior breaches, Murray said in an interview. Oh, you think? And if people weren't taking precautions in the past, which they should have been doing, this should be a 5-alarm wake-up call for them. Gee, what kind of precautions could I have taken on this? I'm trying to determine what the fuck this person's talking about. The information consists of 2.7 billion records, each of which includes a person's full name, address, date of birth, social security number, and phone number, along with alternative names and birth dates, Felice claimed. How do they have phone numbers? What? I don't know. And let's see. Experts say you should put a freeze on your credit files at the 3 major credit bureaus, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. You can do so for free, and it would prevent criminals from taking out loans, signing up for credit cards, and opening financial accounts under your name. The catch is you'll need to remember to lift the freeze temporarily if you are obtaining or applying for something that requires a credit check. So, good luck. Good luck, everybody. That's all I have to say. Yeah, do what you have to do to protect yourself. Boy, oh boy. Also, from not to be, there's a new monkeypox scare. The WHO director says monkeypox is a public emergency of international concern. Now, I need a little reminder here. Monkeypox. Isn't that the one that you kind of had to be having anal sex with the person or something like that, with a man or something? Wasn't this something that was rampaging in the gay community? But they didn't want to say that out loud. But yeah, didn't that require some stupid? I'm just curious. So hide your kids, hide your wife. The WHO declared monkeypox a global health emergency. So here's, what's his name? Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, whatever.
Today, the emergency committee met and advised me that, in its view, the situation constitutes a public health emergency of international concern. I have accepted that advice. The detection and rapid spread of a new clade of Mpox in eastern DRC, its detection in neighboring countries that have not previously reported Mpox, and the potential for further spread within Africa and beyond is very worrying. In addition to other outbreaks of other clades of Mpox in other parts of Africa, it's clear that a coordinated international response is essential to stop these outbreaks and save lives.
Okay, so anyway,
today,
let me pause that.
Emergency.
So the World Health Organization on Wednesday declared the ongoing Mpox outbreak in Africa a global health emergency. Remember how monkeypox was being talked about everywhere, and then suddenly we all stopped talking about it when authorities realized it was connected almost exclusively with degenerate sexual behavior between men. Oh, fun times. And especially, like someone in the chat just said, who just said that? Oh, Mike Savage, the previous Mpox scare went extra quiet when children and dogs started getting it. But I think, okay, so anyway, it's apparent a super big emergency again. WHO convened its emergency Mpox committee amid concerns that a deadlier strain of the virus, they got a name for here, but I can't read it, had reached 4 previously unaffected provinces in Africa. This strain has previously been contained to the Democratic Republic of Congo. Also known as PHEIC, this is a status given by WHO to extraordinary events that pose public health risks to other countries through the international spread of disease. These outbreaks may require a coordinated international response, according to the organization. Well, people stop fucking. Now, by the way, monkeypox is now an offensive term. You can't call it monkeypox. WHO renamed monkeypox because of the word monkey is racist now. Okay, fuck off. That, you know what that tells me? That tells me what they think of black people. Because, you know, I'm sure that's related to black people, right? That's what they think of black people. They associate monkey with, you know, and that's fucked up. So there's some racist motherfuckers. Anyway, so there you go. Biden declares monkeypox a national health emergency, despite the fact that there's one rare trick to easily avoid it. How to avoid monkeypox? Oh, should we see this? A free guy. Okay, hang on a second. Hang on. Let me see what this is. Let me see what this is. Okay, there we go. Oh wait, that's the same article, isn't it though? No, this is Biden declaring it. Okay, here's the article about Biden declaring it a national health emergency. How to avoid monkeypox, a free guide for the White House. I can see it now. Biden being trotted out several weeks into the crisis, near invisible strings dragging his semi-conscious body to the podium. The man turns to the cameras, his feeble eyes struggling to read the 300-point font on the teleprompter 2 feet away. Folks, we need to get to the bottom of what is causing this new crisis, he says, trying to procure a tear from tear ducts that stopped working sometime in Michael Jackson's prime. As he mumbles, there will be bravado and spades. Well, he says, we will overcome this dire crisis in America. And then after a brief explanation of why he'll need more money and power to get the job done, he'll look at his note cards that says, "You exit the room," then reiterate how amazing he is before setting out on a perilous 20-foot quest to the nearest door. And what is this dire emergency that requires even more emergency declarations of emergency powers reserved for the most emergent of emergencies? Well, the U.S. declares the monkeypox outbreak a public health emergency, heeding calls by public health groups for a stronger response. Oh, no. By the way, yes, this is a very serious emergency. After all, the clown squad at CNN that wrote this article wants us to know that anyone can get the dreaded virus. In fact, they said the line, monkeypox can't infect anyone. I sense a but coming. Pun intended. There it is. The majority of cases in the U.S. outbreak have been among men who have sex with men, including gay and bisexual men and people who identify as transgender. Wait a minute. Did they just say have sex with men, including gay and bisexual men and people who else? How wouldn't you? Does that sentence make sense? Oh, are there men who have sex with men who are not gay or bisexual? Oh, the transgender ones, because they're really men. Trust me, they're really, really men. Oh, goodness, you mean this virus is tracking exclusively with an unnatural sexual activity and individuals who decide to partake fully of wanton hedonism in practicing that sexual promiscuity? No. All right, enough about monkeypox. FTG to all of them, and I mean it. All right, let's see. Biden did this one. We laughed about Biden moving to tie Harris to the economy. Oh, here's an interesting little video. We're going to get kind of random now because I'm running out of time, so it's kind of random articles and stuff. I want you to look at the faces of this CNN panel as Frank Luntz begins to throw some water on here. There we go. Throw some water on the recent, who was it, the United Auto Workers president, calling Trump a scab and whatever. Because here's my experience as a person who happens to work in a place that is union. The union leadership, oh yeah, they're all in for Democrats. The union workers, people I hang out with and work with every day, the people I work around, the people in my area of my job and other areas of my job that are all the union workers, oh boy, not a whole lot of Harris supporters in that group. But here's Frank Luntz telling the CNN panel here his thoughts on union workers.
But I assure you that Donald Trump is doing better among the average union member, not teachers' unions and not the unions for government, but everybody else, the trades, the people who work with their hands. He's doing better among them
yes,
than
he
any
is.
Republican has done in decades.
Yes, he is.
This is not going to be a problem for him. The union leadership is more divided from their membership, and the louder that it gets, the
Listen
greater
carefully.
the divides are going to come. And in my focus groups, and this is remarkable to me, the union membership says they don't speak for me.
Ding.
And I've been doing this now since I hate to say this, 89, 1990.
Look how glum
I've
they all
never
look.
had union people publicly say.
Every time they put another face up there, it's like they're getting a huge dose of reality. Every other face they put up there, they're all like, oh, fuck.
They don't speak for me. But I assure
Anyway,
you.
so there you go. That's fascinating. All right, let's see. What's this one? Oh, Whoopi Goldberg is trending. Now, the reason Whoopi Goldberg is trending, not because she said something stupid, which is usually why she's trending, or she said something, TDS stuff, but there's a video of Donald Trump back in, I want to say, what year was this? I don't know what year this was, but this is amazing. This is back in 2011. 2011. Here is Whoopi Goldberg. I'm going to make this, let me see if I can, I want to make it more prominent. Excuse me. Nope, that don't work. Let's just put it here. This will work. All right, here's listen to this. This is actually Whoopi Goldberg talking to Donald Trump in 2011.
And she likes me. She even put me in her movies.
I was just going to say.
She put me in her movies,
yes,
right?
we
A
are
long time ago.
friends.
And how much did I judge? Nothing.
Like they say in the
It was a freebie. Tommy, I love you. I'm telling you.
And they're trying to humanize him and change your idea about who this guy is. Don't fall for that.
Okay, that's the current. That's the current Whoopi Goldberg, who doesn't want to humanize Donald Trump, but she loved Donald Trump back in 2011. So anyway, so now we got. So a lot of people putting that clip out here. In fact, Rogan had a whole segment on it. What is this? Wait, who is this? Oh, here's another clip. This is, like I said, it's going to get random now. It's going to get random. Here's a clip of this woman. Let's see. If this doesn't break your heart and piss you off at the same time, I don't know what will. Oh, this is a woman who probably isn't going to support the Harris Walls campaign. Here we go.
I need this message to go out to our vice president. Who's running for president.
All right.
I have heard all over social media about, excuse me if I say anything wrong, immigrants getting loans, money.
They do. Why? I don't know.
To believe. It was just extremely hard for me to believe. I've been in business such a long time. Back in 2019, I purchased my first food truck. It cost me over $25,000. I paid it cash money. I worked hard to pay for this truck. I'm now selling it because I'm doing other things, but I'm selling it. I had a guy come to look at purchasing my vehicle, or my food truck, and he explained to me he's an illegal immigrant. He has no credit. He has no money in the bank. But he showed me his paperwork. that he will receive funds to purchase my food truck.
From the government.
I'm thankful that he's buying it, but I'm hurt that I work so hard to pay cash for my food truck. I have good credit, can't even get a business loan because of the color of my skin.
And that ain't it. That is okay. She didn't need to say that. You better find it. But there's a different. I'm interested in the reason now why she can't get a business loan.
I have veterans in my family. I'm a veteran.
She's a veteran, though.
I've been self-employed for so long. But somebody, please tell me, how do I work so hard to have somebody who comes to this country, not long, no credit,
They're just giving him money.
and he shows me paperwork where they'll be funding him money to buy my food truck. And when I talked to the bank, they told me usually they have to go straight to a dealership because I'm a private sale. But for special circumstances, they're going to, they allow it. But I need my president to tell me why I worked so hard all these years, all these decades. Couldn't get a business loan, but I bust my ass to get the money to create my business. And we got immigrants coming here. And they're getting money. Money!
All right, I'm going to stop it there. And Renee says that they give out loans to BIPOC like candy. Well, not necessarily like candy, but there are certain many programs. I wish I could talk to this woman and help her, because I know that there's plenty of places that are giving business loans to black people, because the emerging market loans are pretty common, but and I don't know, so I don't know why. If she's self-employed, that may be part of the problem. You got to be able to document income and things like that and loans. But I wish I could help her, but I'm not in that business anymore. Anyway, thank you, Avocados Diabli, dropping another small bullet in the tip jar, who says, that is really a really unfortunate coupling. The last thing I want to think about is Harris's walls. Oh my God. Do you listen to too much Prince or something, or Sheena Easton? Why'd you have to put that in my name or in my mind? Thank you for sponsoring the show, though. Oh, Lord, AD. Why? All right. Do I have a main? What was my main topic today? I don't even know. Oh, burden her by what has been. Yeah, that's the whole thing today. By the way, here's something that we'd love to see Kamala Harris burdened with. As you know, during the Biden administration, there was a little withdrawal from a country in the Middle East, Asia, called Afghanistan. And Afghanistan is a country in the Middle East that's right near Pakistan and other countries around there. I'm just telling you how Kamala Harris would say the story. Hello, number one. Apparently the Taliban over in Afghanistan, after the disastrous withdrawal from by the United States, led by Joseph Biden. And remember, the last person in the room when they were discussing that withdrawal was Kamala Harris. And courtesy of Libs and TikTok and many other people have posted about it, the Taliban just held a military parade with our equipment that was left during the disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal. Kamala was the, quote, last person in the room, end quote, when the decisions were made regarding this withdrawal. Around $7 billion worth of equipment was left. Kamala is responsible for this. I mean, they made the claim that she was the last one in the room, so of course she is. And so they're mocking us. She made it a laughingstock. So they posted this video. This is apparently a military parade. I'll just mute it. But this is the Taliban out here showing all the great stuff that they got when we left Afghanistan. Afghanistan is the Near East, more than the Middle East. Yes, it's Asia. I'll just say Asia. It's in Asia. It's a country in Asia, surrounded by other countries in Asia, and they're all our countries, and they are in Asia. Give me the. Now I'm surprised the Taliban has guys who can fly helicopters. That's amazing. I didn't know that. So anyway, I thought that, but anyway, they're having this big victory parade, and let's see, I have an article on it. Let me get to the article here. By the way, here it is. China and Iran sent diplomats to the Taliban victory parade at a former U.S. airbase. So this is just stick it in your ear, eye, and butthole. The Taliban terrorist organization celebrated the third anniversary of President Joe Biden's facilitating its return to power in Afghanistan on Wednesday, hosting a large military parade on the former U.S. airbase site at Bagram, featuring U.S.-made equipment and welcoming envoys from Iran and China. I'm sure they're selling them a few planes and helicopters just so they can get a little extra technology boost. August 15th will mark the 3 years since the fundamentalist Taliban terror group stormed Kabul, the nation's capital, while then President Ashraf Ghani fled in a helicopter. The Afghan military had collapsed by then, leading to a nearly bloodless takeover of the government for the Taliban. The Taliban remains at press time the uncontested government of Afghanistan, though no country recognizes it as such in an official capacity. The fall of Kabul was preceded by Biden announcing that he would break an agreement the United States, and remember, the United States broke agreement, according to the Taliban. Not Joe Biden, not Donald Trump. The United States broke the agreement in its 20th year president in the Afghan war theater with the Taliban to leave the country. They made the agreement with the Taliban. The United States made the agreement to leave by May 1st in exchange for the Taliban not attacking Americans and cutting ties with terrorist organizations such as Al-Qaeda. Biden replacing the deal brokered by predecessor Donald Trump with an extension of the war into September 2021 that never happened, as the Taliban had disintegrated the official Afghan government by then. The Taliban so swiftly dismantling the Afghan government resulted in a haphazard and deadly exit for American troops from the country that left the jihadists possessing millions of dollars of American equipment, some of it on display at the former Bagram Air Base on Wednesdays. So, quote, the Taliban's armed forces towed Soviet-era tanks and artillery pieces through the former U.S. airbase in Bagram, where Chinese and Iranian diplomats were also present. The Turkish outlet Daily Sabah, according to, well, that's whatever that is, citing international agencies, a swarm of motorbikes strapped with yellow jerry cans, often used to carry improvised explosive devices during the fight against international forces, also rumbled past assembled officials. The outlet also identified U.S.-made armor personnel carriers being driven in the parade. A report published in February 2023 by the Office of the U.S. Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction found that Biden left at least $7.2 billion with a B dollars worth of equipment to the Taliban. So, yippee! That way to go, Joe! Fan-fucking-tastic. So, and by the way, we must burden her with what has been, and so this is a Biden-Harris accomplishment or debacle, whichever you choose to call it. All right, moving on. Speaking of which, they've also apparently they've have a little bit of a betrayal of Israel here. The Biden-Harris regime's latest betrayal of Israel will make your run blood cold. The Biden-Harris regime is supposed to be an ally of Israel and occasionally sends signals to that effect, but its real loyalties are not that hard to figure out. The Biden-Harris administration is all about holding and increasing power, and Israel is in the way of that aspiration right now. In pursuit of votes in Michigan and Minnesota, Kamala Harris just chose Tim Walz as a run. Okay, hang on a second. The important part here, I'm going to skip down. Well, first, they're talking about how she chose Tim Walz as a running mate over a stronger candidate, Josh Shapiro, because Shapiro is Jewish. It has also sent billions to the bankroller of Hamas and Hezbollah, the Islamic Republic of Iran, and hundreds of millions to Gaza, which means to Hamas. It has withheld arms shipments to Israel, and now it's being accused of betrayal so immense that it makes those others look like friendship. Okay, here's the betrayal. Hey, Zach Osborne, how you doing, brother? Amir Fakhravar, a former political prisoner of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps inside Iran and the Senate chairman of the National Iranian Congress, states that shortly after the assassination of Hamas's top dog Ismail Haniyeh and key Hezbollah operative Fuad Shakur, the Biden-Harris regime swung into action to warn the Iranians that if they attacked Israel, they would suffer serious consequences. That's what many have assumed. In an opinion piece at Fox News on Monday, Fakhravar revealed that Kuwait's Al Jarida newspaper, citing an unnamed source in Iran's Supreme National Security Council, reported that a high-level American security delegation brokered by Oman secretly traveled to Tehran. That doesn't sound so bad in itself, but it does get worse. The mission of this high-level delegation, according to Fakhravar, was not to deter the Iranians from striking against Israel by informing them that America was fully prepared to defend its ally. Instead, the delegation's job was to deliver a calming and cautionary message to de-escalate the situation and ensure the supreme leader of Iran understood that the Biden-Harris administration was kept in the dark by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu regarding the killing of two major terrorist leaders last week. So they said, "Oh no, we didn't know. We please forgive us for allowing Netanyahu to kill some terrorist dudes." That's right, the American delegation, if the Kuwaiti report is correct, did not go to Tehran to demonstrate America's strength. Rather, it went there in order to show America's weakness. The delegation was intent not on warning Iran not to attack Israel, but to insist that America had nothing to do with the killings of Haniyeh and Shakur, for those nasty Israelis had not taken them into their confidence. So they're just like, we didn't know. They didn't tell us. We just don't want you to get upset with us. Even worse, these cowardly appeasers reportedly went to the Iranians bearing gifts. Oh my God. The detailed report stated that the American delegation, arriving on a private plane from Turkey, landed at Payam El Karam Airport in Karaj on Thursday and held a 2-hour meeting with the Iranian officials before returning to Ankara. At this meeting, the greatest betrayal of all was consummated. The delegation presented a list containing the names of 10 Mossad agents inside Iran whom the Americans believe were involved in the assassination directly. Oh my God. They gave up allies' spies names. To put this in perspective, recall that on April 18th, 1943, in the middle of World War II, American forces shot down the aircraft carrying Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto, the commander-in-chief of the Imperial Japanese Navy. Imagine if a week or two later, a high-level British delegation had made its way to Tokyo in order to assure the Japanese that they didn't know about the operation to take Yamamoto and didn't have anything to do with it. Imagine further that the British then gave the Japanese the names and whereabouts of 10 Americans who were involved in the action against Yamamoto. If that had actually happened, it might have been enough to sever the U.S.-British alliance. But today, the Biden-Harris regime does not hesitate to extend this sort of gesture of goodwill to a regime that regularly chants death to America. The Kuwaiti report explains that this was intended as a good faith initiative in response to the Israeli state's stunning strike, which was carried out without coordination in Washington. A good faith initiative to a regime that has never shown good faith and has repeatedly vowed the destruction of America as well as Israel. So, that's a big fat wow. How weak, also, how fucking weak does that make us look? I'm dumbfounded by this. So this is the article in PJ Media. You'll see it in the links today. Holy shit. That's bad. That is terrible. All right, let me wrap this up. I got several articles just to browse here, and then we're going to get the hell out of Dodge. In the Washington Free Beacon, apparently there is a Pennsylvania congresswoman organized a birthday fundraiser for a radical group that supports decriminalizing Hamas. Representative Susan Wild, a Democrat considered one of the most vulnerable House incumbents running for re-election, personally raised money for a, quote, social justice group, end quote, that wants to defund police and abolish immigration agencies. It has also expressed support for, quote, decriminalizing Hamas. And that's just the beginning of the Americans Friends Service Committee's far-left activism. That's enough for me. That's enough for me. I don't even need to hear any more of this, but they go into a lot of more stuff that Representative Susan Wild, who again is in a vulnerable seat in Pennsylvania, has done. But that's kind of crazy that she's. Well, no, it's not crazy. It's just par for the course. MRC TV. On day one, resurfaced clips show Harris vowing to close immigration detention centers if elected. Here's the clip.
Hi, my name is Sally Hartman. I'm a volunteer with the Center for Worker Justice.
Oh, for worker justice.
To know, when you become president, would you be committing to close immigration detention centers?
Absolutely, on day one.
Wait a minute. Oh, this is back. This is back when she was writing in 2020. She vowed to close the immigration detention centers on day one. Okay, now that's of course when they were talking about kids in cages, which is an Obama thing. Oh, and by the way, a lot of people have been bitching on X and everywhere else about the fact that Donald Trump had a 2-hour, one-on-one with Donald Trump via X Spaces, and Elon Musk is like, hey, Kamala Harris is welcome to join me for the same thing. I'll be happy to do the interview with her. So anyway, hello, Select Boy, by the way. Yeah, boy. Illegal insurrection. New York City illegal alien crisis over the last year plus has combined cost likely to hit $5 billion with a B. New York Post discovered New York City has spent almost $5 billion on its illegal alien crisis in 23 and 24. The city might face double that amount in 25. How's this for perspective? The New York Police Department budget is $5.75 billion. The eye-popping figures listed on the city's online asylum seeker funding tracker shows the city overall spent $4.88 billion combined through fiscal years 2023 and 2024. Based on the rate of spending, the city is likely to exceed more than $112 million, or exceeded more than $112 million since the start of the fiscal new year beginning July 1st. Just since July 1st, $112 million. Oh my God. They're spending $1.98 billion on housing and rent for illegal aliens. They are spending about $2 billion on services and supplies for illegal aliens, nearly $500 million on food and medical costs for illegal aliens, and another $500 million on IT, administrative, and other costs. Well, everyone's got to get paid, and they're all dipping their fingers in the pot. So, fucking fantastic. In for Washington Free Beacon, left-wing nonprofits discuss a strategy to stay under the radar and tweak language to dodge discrimination lawsuits. So, you know how a lot of these companies are, there's a lot of companies that are kind of cutting back on their DEI departments or whatever. And there are apparently there's left-wing nonprofits going in to help companies disguise their continuation of such things, which, look, the best DEI program to me, if you want diversity, I don't want to even say equity because equity is a stupid concept, but if you want diversity and inclusion, okay, in the general workforce or any places where you want more whatever, it'll happen naturally as long as you educate people properly. And right now we have illiteracy rate, especially in big city districts, that is beyond the pale. So the only way to do that is you have to have let people know that if they do their work when they're young, then they will be part of the everything that you want them to be a part of when they get older. Diversity will happen naturally. You don't need to, if a nonprofit group, for example, spent their time in the elementary schools instead of in the trying to force companies to hire more of this and more of that and good quotas and shit. If they spent more of their time helping families educate their kids and whatever, those kids will grow up to be, be able to do more things. But right now, we got a lot of kids who don't even read when they leave high school. So fix that problem and your diversity and inclusion will happen naturally. I'm just saying. All right. Legal insurrection. Biden snaps at reporters. My policies are working. Here it is. Listen to this. This is Biden got a little upset with this reporter here.
Yes. I told you we're going to have a soft landing. We're going to have a soft landing. My policies are working. Start writing that way, okay?
And Mr. President,
anyway, thank you.
What? Let's hear that again.
Yes. I told you we're going to have a soft landing. We're going to have a soft landing. My policies are working. Start writing that way, okay?
Okay. If whatever you say, Joe. Whatever you say. Also, legal insurrection. That's the Biden snaps reporters. PJ Media. White House just threw Kamala Harris under the Bidenomics bus. So this is, I haven't seen this one either. What is this? Let's just read it. On Wednesday, Axios reported that Kamala Harris, the undemocratically anointed presumptive nominee for the Democratic Party, is trying to distance herself from Bidenomics because of how unpopular it is with the voters. But, as I always say, we must burden her with what has been, and certainly she is a part of Bidenomics. Harris won't say this bluntly in public, but her advisors do so privately. She wants to break with Biden on issues on which he's unpopular. Biden Harris. The outlet reported, first up, rising prices. This is part of a highly choreographed effort to define herself, in some cases redefine herself as a different kind of Democrat as part of the Biden Harris administration. The article went on to say that she wants to be not Biden on inflation, arguably the biggest domestic topic of the campaign, by proposing clearer, more urgent solutions, which she should have been suggesting since 2001. I just added that. And the big picture is Harris doesn't want to be completely defined by the Biden-Harris record, advisors tell us. And she needs some distance. 80% of U.S. adults in Gallup polling say they are dissatisfied with the country's direction, which she is intimately involved. So here's a couple questions Karine Jean-Pierre would have gotten. Here's
when
one.
Did you guys learn that Vice President Harris wants to distance herself from Bidenomics?
Why do you think that?
Axios is now reporting that she is hoping to distance herself from President Biden's unpopularity on the economy. Can you blame her?
Do you know this is the Biden-Harris administration? Are you aware that this is the Biden-Harris administration?
Axios wrote it.
The vice president.
But if the
Axios wrote it.
Policies on the economy were working, or if they were popular, wouldn't he still be the candidate?
You literally just had the chair of the CEA here who laid out a pretty robust point by point about the economy and what's happened under the Biden-Harris administration. And I thought it was pretty convincing. Look, as far as
not to the American
anything
people.
that the vice president wants to do, or as she's talking about her policy that's campaign related, you would have to speak to her. One thing that I know for sure.
What's that? What do you know,
Is
Karine?
that
What do you know?
This president, this vice president, are fighting very hard
for the American
to make
people.
sure that the middle class is stronger.
Oh, yes.
They want to make sure
Platitudes.
that we're working to cut taxes for the middle class.
What?
For
No,
people,
wait, whoa.
For working
Whoa.
families, as you have seen
What?
them do over.
When have they ever mentioned cutting taxes? Ever. Their claim was they would not raise taxes on anyone making less than $400,000, which was a lie, because they were going to wanted to repeal the Trump tax cuts, which would mean you'd have to raise taxes on people making less than $400,000, because people making less than $400,000 did get a tax cut under Donald Trump. So that was a lie. But she's talking about cutting taxes for middle class? Bitch, please.
Over again. This is something that we believe in. You heard.
Really? It's year 3.5 of the Biden-Harris administration. When are the tax cuts coming? When are they coming? It's you're in the last year of you're in the last 5 months of the fucking presidency. When are they coming? You're full of shit.
You heard Jared talk about announcements this week about lowering cost, and that is something that we believe in. And the contrast could not be more stark between, if anything, the contrast is between what Republicans want to do, MAGAnomics. You're talking about Bidenomics. MAGAnomics supercharge inflation. That's what they want to do. Raise taxes on the middle class by thousands of dollars.
Whoa. They want to supercharge inflation? Really? Please show me the MAGAnomics policy paper that says we need to supercharge inflation. You're just full of shit. You're projecting. Nobody wants to supercharge inflation, but you managed to do it in this administration.
Send tax cuts through the roof. Protect corporate.
Send tax cuts through the roof. Oh, you mean like instead of through my pocketbook? What are you talking about?
Price gouging. Cut Social Security.
Wait, price gouging?
Their health care.
What?
Corporate price gouging. Cut Social Security. Cost millions their health care. And heap tax giveaways on billionaires and big corporations.
None of those things.
That's the division there. That's where there's really...
Okay. Oh, good Lord. She's amazing. Let's see what this one is.
But would you admit, at least, that if Bidenomics was more popular, President Biden would still be...
I'm not going to get into polling. What I will tell you is Bidenomics has been something that both the president and the vice president has worked on. You guys...
Good! Hey! Whoa! Did she just say that they both worked on it? Okay, now I see why they say they threw her under the bus. Yeah, you're part of Bidenomics. There ain't no getting away from it, Vice President Harris.
You guys have called it Bidenomics. We talk about...
Joe Biden called it Bidenomics. Oh my God! You guys called it Bidenomics? No. Didn't Joe Biden come out and say the word Bidenomics? He's like, they were calling it Bidenomics. They were so happy. They thought they were doing something. And oh my God, holy shit.
How the president is trying to put forward an economic policy, building the economy from the bottom up, middle out, that does not leave behind the middle class, and make sure it has equity at the center of it.
What is equity? Ooh, run.
MAGAnomics, which is very different, which is something that neither of them believe in, wants to do the opposite of what we're trying to do on behalf of the American.
No, you claim they want to do the opposite. That's just stupid. All right. Finishing out, apparently John Fetterman is pushing a stock ban for senators, but he seems to fail to have disclosed a sizable investment portfolios of his kids. Now, I don't even know how old John Fetterman's kids are, but Fetterman's 3 minor children own between $45,000 and $675,000 in stocks and between $53,000 and $445,000 in corporate bonds, according to annual financial disclosure he submitted this week. So he was talking, but look, I as much as this article knocks him, right? If he's pushing a stock ban for senators and immediate family, then he's pushing it against his own kids. I can't say that. Look, I am pretty sure that a lot of senators and congressmen who have kids have, let's say, put some of their investments in their kids' names for whatever reason, and fortunately they are required to disclose it. I don't think there's a conflict here. If he's saying that he needs to push stock ban for senators and immediate families, that would apply to him too. So I'm actually going to give him a little bit of credit on this, that he's willing to, do this to his own detriment too. So, apparently he failed to disclose it. Now that's a problem. But that if he followed through with that proposal, it would apply to him too. So that's okay. I'm fine. He did it ahead of critics. Well, whatever. I mean, it affects him. Susan Rice says Harris is an integral architect of the Biden agenda. So again, another person involved with Biden, not allowing Kamala Harris to distance herself from Joseph Rahim Biden. So good. Play this all over the place and let them know so they can burden her with what has been. Front page, a comprehensive look at Tim Walz with a lot more information. If you want to learn more things to learn about Tim Walz, he's a shitbag. I mean, he's okay. I shouldn't say he's a shitbag. He's not a good governor, and he's not a good. His politics, he can kiss my ass. But you know, I'm sure he's a nice father, and his kids love him. Weird, creepy, and surreal and dangerous 2024 campaign. Victor David Hansen talking about that. Breitbart, Fox News polls. Trump is leading Kamala Harris again, I guess. By 1 point okay, that's a 1 point national matchup. You know, all these polls in the last 3 election cycles have always shown an underperforming Trump, as in he's always performed between 5 and 9% better than the polls. So if you have even a 1 point matchup between Harris and Trump, that's good for Trump because they always have him underperforming. So that's that. Also, same thing. The new poll shows that Kamala's honeymoon's ending. If you're watching polls, you're likely to see that Kamala Harris has been ahead in nearly all of them in all of the past week. We expected for Kamala to have a honeymoon period upon becoming the presumptive nominee for her party. So in many ways, it wasn't exactly a surprise to see the polls tighten. However, if you're on Team Kamala, you were probably hoping for a larger lead in the polls than 1.1 percentage point advantage. God damn it. Than the 1.1 point advantage she's currently has in the Real Clear Politics average. A new poll conducted by JL Partners for Daily Mail suggests that the honeymoon is ending. According to the poll, which surveyed 1,001 likely voters, Trump still leads Harris 43-41 nationally with a margin of error of 3.1%. So, again, no, I meant Biden coined the term Bidenomics before the critics could, like what happened with Reagan. Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, he did. I know. And they're pretending that it was the media, or Jean-Pierre is pretending the media coined that phrase. New York Post, Trump won't choke against a weak Kamala Harris. Dems trying to fake their way to an election win. Yeah, there are advantages in illegal immigrant votes, especially in Minnesota. By the way, we were just A.K. Kamara, who's another commentator, from Minnesota. He's also a delegate to the Republican National Convention this year. He was reporting that illegal, or not necessarily illegal immigrants, but immigrants were getting mail-in ballots because in Minnesota, when you apply for a driver's license or an ID, they automatically sign you up. They automatically register you to vote. So if you can get an ID in Minnesota, basically you're automatically registered to vote, and then you have to parse out whether or not you're eligible to vote, right? Without any ID or what. So there's been reports of legal immigrants, getting mail-in ballots. Well, just not so in the far distant past, Governor Walz signed a legislation, again, one of those one-vote legislation thingies, that gave illegal immigrants in Minnesota the ability to get a driver's license. So basically, they are, and look, I'm sure not a single illegal immigrant would ever think of taking that voter registration, which is automatic when you get a driver's license in Minnesota, to vote illegally in a U.S. election. I can't imagine they would ever do that. It's never going to happen because the system is so pristine and perfect that would never, ever, ever happen. Except it will, because they're mailing ballots to people who are not U.S. citizens already. And so now there's a big investigation by the Republican Party. And there's a watchdog group, the Republican Party, and a committee from the Republican Party that are out investigating this particular incident. And I'm sure that it was just a single mistake, right, Johnny? It was a single mistake. I'm sure it would never happen again. But so anyway, the honeymoon period for Kamala Harris is ending, hopefully, and people will begin to burden her with what has been. And Breitbart, Peter Schweitzer says Tim Walz tied Tim Walz tied to Chinese secret police stations that kidnap CCP critics. Oh my God. So Tim Walz has this really interesting relationship with China. He's been there many, many times. And it's weird because he was in the National Guard when he was making all these trips to China. So there's certain security clearances you have as a non-commissioned officer in the National Guard, but then he was also going to China all these times, and it's really strange. So apparently, the ties between Chinese Communist Party and Minnesota Tim Walz are becoming more alarming, with Breitbart News' senior contributor Peter Schweitzer revealing that the vice president hopeful is connected to secret police stations that the Chinese have here in the United States. So you've heard about those police stations? Walz is accused of being connected to a group called Minnesota Global that is allegedly tied to the secret Chinese police stations in the Twin Cities. The New York Times bestselling author claims that Walz, who has announced as Vice President Kamala Harris's running mate on August 6th, is connected to a Chinese Communist Party operative who conduct illegal police activity here. So you can read that one. If this is true, oh my gosh, that's just one of those. That's better than an October surprise. They might have to get rid of him. Who knows? Also, Harris again. Oh, Harris quietly trying to cover up major election bomb that could end her honeymoon period. She's racing against a ticking time bomb, hoping that it won't blow before November. The Biden-Harris administration touted the Inflation Reduction Act as the end of U.S. inflation woes. It was supposed to help with several economic issues, including capping out-of-pocket drug costs for Medicare beneficiaries. However, Medicare beneficiaries will see significant hikes in their monthly premiums to compensate for the profit loss from the mandatory cap on out-of-pocket drug costs. So their fix for this Medicare issue is costing seniors a lot more money. And they're trying to figure out how they could fix it, because this is the Biden-Harris administration. And while we are burdening her with things that have been, seniors are going to be like, what the fuck is this? So anyway, human events. Tim Walz is the Chinese Communist Party's useful idiot. Again, more on Walz's ties to China. Read about the China stuff. It's really strange, and the idea that he might be connected to those secret Chinese police stations in the U.S., that's not good. That's another. Someone put ruh-roh. Yeah, that's a ruh-roh too. And then the last thing on here, I want you to read this thread by Drew Holden. And this is just, I'm not going to go through it, obviously, because I'm out of time, but talking about how the media hasn't really been interested in providing voters with much of a picture of Kamala Harris beyond vibes and joy. So Drew Holden has a great thread here. Basically, you talk about burdening her with what has been. We might just go through this thread tomorrow, because this is a fairly semi-comprehensive list of the reasons why Kamala Harris should not be within 1,000 miles of the White House once her term of the Senate is over, or vice president is over. So I'll leave that thread in the links, and those links will be in the chat shortly and in the description of this video shortly, as I must leave. But thank you guys for joining me today on the Morning Net Live. I'll be back tomorrow for maybe we'll talk about more burdening her with what has been, and also Q&A Friday, because you know it's Q&A Friday. It's Free for All Friday, Q&A Friday. That'll be tomorrow. That's it. I don't have anything else. I hope you have a great day. If you haven't hit the like button yet, and there's a lot of you who have not, please do that right now before you go. And think of sponsor the show sometime. Thank you, Cryptic Avocados Diablo, for sponsoring the show today. And share this stream. Even though it's over, send it to somebody. We need more people here. I'd like to get 100 people here for just a regular stream someday without a guest. But I'm also working on a couple guests, so we'll get to that. But that's it. I got to go. Thank you. My name's P-Dog Knight. And I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Have a great day. Here come the links. See ya. Hey, this is P-Dog Knight, and thanks for watching today on the P-Dog Knight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cash App, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm P. Dog Knight, and I'm out of here.